Hello, my name is Leon and I'm in South Korea. One thing you would think would be common sense when you travel is that you should have a working knowledge of the language, but many people who travel don't know the language, or they think they can pick it up when they get there, or recruiters tell them, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be in an English bubble with other English speakers." It's not necessary for you to know the language. Um, if you go over to teach and you go, "Well, I don't really know Mandarin," or "I don't really know Korean," the recruiters in the schools will often reply, "Well, the language is not important. You don't need it. You're an English teacher. Everyone on staff can speak English." And then because you're eager to travel, eager to take work as a young person, that answer makes a lot of sense to you. Yeah, I'm going to teach English. My colleagues teach English. So you accept that and you get on a plane. But let me tell you, not knowing the language of a country and then going there can be absolutely traumatizing. It can be a traumatizing, lonely, and depressing experience to go to a country without a working knowledge of the language. It can be downright frustrating and scary, never knowing what people are saying to you. And then you might think, "Oh, well, I have the miracle of Google. I have the internet in my hand." But translator apps, basically, it's still really hard to communicate with the translator apps. Obviously, it slows down communication. Then translation it's just not accurate. Like it's a little bit sloppy. So you'll try to be like, "Can I get a coffee?" And it will be like, "Can I get a lemonade?" or something like that. It's just there'll still be miscommunication with the translator app, so it's not as easy as a translator app. But I do think it can be downright scarring and traumatizing to live prolonged periods in a country when you cannot speak to anybody. When you take taxis, it can be a frustrating and scary experience. When you're at the grocery store, it can be a frustrating experience, and you will find that ordinary life becomes hard. Like, I just left the bank, and if I spoke Korean, a process that took over a half an hour probably would have took 15 minutes, so at least double or triple the length it would have talked if I could speak Korean. I think you'll be surprised about how threatened you feel when people are constantly speaking a language you don't understand around you. And I think you'll be surprised how lonely you feel when you can't communicate with people around you. I mean, it's that old saying of, "I'm in a room with 100 people, but I never felt so alone." I mean, you can literally be an entire country of Koreans, but what's the point if you don't speak Korean? So I think when recruiters and schools tell you you don't need a country's language to work in it, well, they're lying. They've never gone abroad. Of course you do. You need a country's language for the grocery store, to make friends, for the taxi cabs, to go to the hospital. And not as many people speak English as they say. They always try to sell that. It's not true. It's not true. Not as many people speak English as they say. So I would just be really, really careful. I would be really, really careful when I decide where to go. That's all for now. Definitely make sure you learn uh, a lot of the country's language before you go somewhere. Don't buy that "you don't need it because you're an English teacher" junk. That's nonsense. Of course you should be able to speak the country's language. I mean, you will find hot pockets of English, but you're basically setting yourself up for failure if you don't take the time to learn the language. I don't recommend traveling up without a working knowledge of the language, at least like 15% of the language. I think if you know about 15% of the language, you can go. You know, things like left, right, bathroom, water, rice, meat, uh, hello, thank you, how are you, I'm fine, how to say your age and your profession. I think if you know about 15% of the language, you can do well, but to know 0% of the language, I don't think so. I think that's setting oneself up for failure, and failure is not anybody likes. Well, my name is Leona Moore. I absolutely recommend that you learn the language before going to a country. That's all for now. Goodbye.